What is up, fitness junkies? I am an online fitness coach and I've been doing barbell back squats for about 15 years. And I've gotten my PR, my all-time PR is 475 pounds in competition. But I'll be honest with you, this is probably the movement that came the least natural to me. Okay, and I think it's that way for a lot of people. So in this video, I'm gonna be talking about how I've gotten myself from just doing the bar in the beginning and the bar wrecking me when I weighed like 120 pounds to being able to do 475 pounds with good form. So let's dive into it. All right, so like I said, this movement did not come naturally to me, and I was like 120 pounds when I started squatting. And I remember the first time I ever squatted was just with the bar, and I was literally wrecked for like a week. I was so sore, I couldn't move, right? And now I've gotten up to a 475 pound squat in competition. The first thing I'm going to talk about though is equipment, just because I'm wearing all this equipment and I want to kind of go over that. So first things first is footwear, right? So I'm wearing Olympic weightlifting shoes, and I do this because I had an ankle injury and my ankle mobility has been pretty bad since then. But I do think it's a good idea to have a pretty sizable heel on squatting, but you also want a flat surface with your shoes, a flat sole. You don't want a nice soft sole that's gonna roll around and move your feet around when you're squatting. Okay, so be looking for a nice flat sole. Some people really like squatting in Converse. Some people really like squatting in Vans. I really like the Olympic shoes for my squats. Keeps everything super solid and you got that nice heel. If you have flatter shoes but you want a heel, sometimes people will put a small plate, like a 5 or 2.5 pound plate under their heels to kind of create that platform. So those are a couple options as well. But that's shoes. Knee sleeves. I wear these Ray-Ban knee sleeves. It's a good idea, just to kind of make sure you have that extra stability with your knees. When I was squatting really heavy in competition, when I squatted the 475, I had really solid SBD knee sleeves. Those aren't necessarily like, you don't need to have that. If you're just kind of a normal squatter, you're not super serious about competition or anything, like those are really stiff and sturdy, right? For most of my squatting, most of my leg days, I wear these Ray-Ban knee sleeves just for a little bit of extra support, and they do the job. Okay, so that's that. Belt, all right, this is not something I talked about in the deadlift video, and I definitely should have, but having a nice solid sturdy belt, I like having a nice thick leather belt. I like the lever belts, the one that you could attach like that. If you stay around the same weight, these are good. If you're someone that fluctuates in weight a lot, sometimes I recommend the prong lever, because then you can change the different sizes on there a little quicker. But having a nice solid leather belt is actually a really good thing to have for both deadlifts and squats. And the thing is, like, a lot of people, I hear them say, well, I want to build up my core, so I'm not going to wear a belt. Well, the thing is, like, there's been research that shows you actually engage your core better when you wear a belt, because you're able to push against the belt and you actually engage your core really well. So I highly recommend having a belt, no matter what level of lifting you're at, like in your training career. I think it's a super important thing. So that's everything with the equipment. I'm going to have to demonstrate this facing the other way for the pick. All right, so that's where we're going to start with the squat. Is the pick is called where you're taking the bar off the rack. All right, so I'm going to face around, but you guys should still be able to hear me because I'm wearing the microphone. But let me show you this, and then I'll turn back around for the rest of the demonstration. So when you're picking the bar off the rack, that's what it's called. First thing you want to pay attention to is where your hands are at on the bar. Okay, so for me, I'm about pinkies on the rings. That goes just about right outside shoulder width for me. And this is if I'm doing low bar squat. Okay, so there's low bar and there's high bar squat. Depends what you're trying to optimize for. If you're really trying to maximize as much weight as you possibly can, if you're like a power lifter or you're just really into trying to max out your squat, then I would recommend low bar squatting. If you're more for aesthetics, or you're just kind of a general squatter, you're not really trying to lift as much weight as you humanly can, I would probably go high bar squat, but I'm going to show you guys both of these. So low bar squat, you're going to want to get the bar right across your rear delts. Okay, so that's a low bar where it's right across your rear delts in the back. And go ahead, pick the weight off. You don't want to take too many steps. You want to take about one step each. You want to be about shoulder width with your feet. And another thing I want you guys to pay attention to is actually grip the bar and keep your upper back tight. You don't want to be nice and loose, right? You don't want to have everything really loose. You want to think just like in the deadlift, everything is really tight. Okay, so that's as much like I'm going to show you on the low bar pick. I'm going to show you guys the high bar pick, and then I'm going to demonstrate the rest of their movement facing the other way. So high bar, I like to go a little bit closer in with my hands, just right outside shoulder width, if not right at shoulder width, because you want your upper back nice and tight, like I said. Sometimes if you're too wide, it'll be too loose up top. So you want to be a little narrower with the high bar. It's going to sit right on your traps. You don't want it on like your neck, right? And I'm kind of sitting on your spine there. You want it to sit right on those meaty traps that you've developed. Go back, one step each, just like I said, feet about shoulder width, and then you're ready to squat. Okay, so that one's pretty simple. So that's the pick. Now I'm going to face this way to demonstrate the rest of the movement. All right, so I'm going to show you guys mostly in low bar because that's what I'm used to with my powerlifting background. All right, so let's just say I picked it off facing the other way. Okay, like I said, about shoulder width with your feet. It's okay to have your feet pointed out just a little bit. You know, some people teach you want to be completely straightforward. I want you guys to be what's more natural for you. What allows you to get in a good deep squat. Okay, for me, it's toes just slightly pointed outwards. Next thing I want you guys to focus on is the Valsalva maneuver. All right, this is something I didn't go over in the deadlift and I definitely should, but you're gonna get a big breath in, hold it in before you go down, push that against the belt or in your core, and you wanna have a nice solid core, everything really tight, okay? You wanna think about a soda can, right? If a soda can is empty and there's nothing in it, then it's easy to crush, okay? But if you're a soda can that's not opened and it's got a lot of soda, everything's full and it's fully tight, then it's not gonna get crushed. You're gonna be nice and firm. You're gonna be able to stay sturdy throughout the movement. Okay, so be that soda can that's full of soda. It's got that big breath in, everything's in there. First thing I want you to think about when you're going down is pushing those hips back. Just like I said with the deadlift, okay? You don't want the first thing to happen is those knees. That's a common mistake I see. Okay, the first thing I see a lot of people do is knees bend. First thing I want you to see, hips going back. It's gonna create that knee bend, but push those hips back, 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 back. Sit like you're sitting down into a chair. Get nice and deep, fully 90 degrees, and you're exploding back up. Okay, the descent should be pretty slow and controlled, not too slow, but pretty slow and controlled, and then you're exploding up. So I'm gonna show it again. Push those hips back, nice and slow and controlled. Right when you hit depth, you're exploding up, okay? So a couple of small things to focus on. Again, the Valsalva maneuver, getting that tight, pushing the hips back instead of the knees bending being the first thing. And then knees are gonna track just right about at the toes. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys in the bottom position here. So my knees aren't way over my toes. I'm in a solid position. I feel nice and sturdy. And then you're exploding back up, okay? So that's me going through the whole movement. And guys, it looks easy because I've done it a bunch of times, but some of the things that I see people need to work on a lot. One thing is a lot of people can't get deep enough, right? It could either be a mobility issue or they're not familiar, not comfortable with the movement. So there's certain things that you can do to progress towards it. A lot of my clients, we got to start them off doing a box squat so that there's something to kind of aim for and sit towards, and they can tap and come back up. And then eventually we're able to rip the training wheels off, kind of get rid of the box, and they feel more natural hitting that depth. So that's something that you can do. Again, like I said, you don't want your knees going way over your toes and hurting your knees. Okay, so I know that there's a craze with the knees over toes, guys, but most people don't have that mobility yet. Okay, so until you get there, you build up that mobility and strength around your knees. Try to focus on keeping the knees just right about at toe level. You don't want to go way over. Okay, another common thing that you'll see is people leaning way over. So a lot of times you'll see someone go down in a squat and either they're already leaning over or sometimes their hips shoot up and then they're leaning way over and it's almost like two movements, almost like a good morning at the top, right? So you want to focus on keeping that core really tight, not losing that position. And basically as you go down, should be the same angle the whole way up until you lock it out at the top. So guys, I hope that was helpful. That's me going through most of what I think about when I squat. Okay, so if you guys want more in-depth movement videos like this, then comment what you'd like to see next. I think I'm gonna do a dip video. One of my clients recommended that, you know, regular body weight dip. But we've done bench, we've done deadlift, we've done squats, we've done the big 3. Go check out the other 2 if you haven't seen that yet. But like and subscribe to the channel to see more informational personal development content like this. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Elevate. Only obligation is to tell it straight.